We're converting an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation into a fantasy adventure today. Just more proof as to why you should be watching Star Trek if you're a GM. Hello and welcome to today's episode of How to Be a Great GM. My name is Guy, and today we are looking at an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which was on air from the 1980s until the 1990s. The episode is called Yesterday's Enterprise and has the standard one-show structure that we spoke about. You're going to see how the episode that we look at today is going to do exactly what we expect it to do, exactly when we expect to do it, and is going to turn into an adventure in a fantasy setting that I have to admit I would love to play in. Let's dive straight into it. So the beginning of the show starts with the teaser. We know that it starts with a teaser. And this teaser is particularly awesome because it starts with prune juice.
What is it?
Just try it. You see? It's an earth drink. Prune juice.
Warrior's drink.
Lieutenant Worf, report to the bridge.
On my way.
No.
Analysis, Mr. Data.
Sensors are reading gravimetric fluctuations, Captain. Most unusual ones.
Unusual in what way? Specify.
Nothing I have seen before.
Is it a wormhole?
Yes and no. Like a time displacement. But it does not have a discernible event horizon.
Sir, navigational subsystems are unable to give coordinates on the object.
Confirmed. The phenomenon does not have a definable center or outer edge.
Are you saying it is, and yet it isn't there?
I do not have sufficient information to make an analysis as yet, Commander. The dynamics of the radiation patterns...
Captain. Something's happening. A new change in sensor readings.
Mr. Data?
Scanning sensors.
Lieutenant, what are their sensor readings? Is that an enemy vessel?
So what happens is the Enterprise C is sucked through a temporal rift which has been generated by shenanigans and is now in the future and has caused the future to change. Things have altered. The key is that the character, one character in the episode anyway, is not affected by the temporal change and knows that something must change. The teaser ends with, what's going on? What's happened? And no one knows what's wrong except for the one person who says, it's wrong. This neatly leads us into the introduction of the adventure, where we need to learn what exactly is the entire purpose of the adventure. Initially, the characters think that the adventure is about taking this new individual or the new ship anyway, and incorporating it into their existing fleet. They're going to repair the ship, they're going to make the ship theirs, they're going to add to it, everything is going to be hunky-dory. But there is this consistent issue with the fact that it's wrong and that something needs to change. And so whilst the characters are on that journey, we get to the point where they decide, nope, things have to change. They have to go back to the way they were. This brings us to the body of the show. Okay, so now we understand that we've got to send the ship back. It has to go back because things have to go back. They have to change to something. We don't know what exactly, but they have to change.
Captain, are you suggesting that we let them return and attempt to complete their mission?
I am, Doctor.
Based on Guinan's intuition?
That won't accomplish anything, sir. There's no way they can save Narendra 3.
Captain Garrett said there were 4 Romulan warbirds. The Enterprise C would be outmanned and outgunned.
Unless we were to rearm them with modern...
We can't do that. If we send that ship back with new technology, we'll be altering the past.
But that's what you're talking about anyway, isn't it? Altering the past?
We're talking about restoring the past.
But how could Guinan know that history's been altered if she's been altered along with the rest of us?
Perhaps her species has a perception that goes beyond linear time.
There are many things about her species we can't easily explain. Yet it is very possible that she is correct. A ship from the past has traveled through time. How can we know what effect those events will have on the present? Indeed, we shall never know for certain if Guinan is correct. But I have decided the consequences of that possibility are too grave to ignore. Dismissed.
As a result, our focus now is repairing the ship, getting the ship ship-shape, making sure that it's strong enough to go back and do what is needed to be done. This is the bulk of the show, and towards the end of that, we need to head into a twist. Something needs to change, and what better twist could possibly exist than by introducing the bad guys and by eliminating what we thought we were sending back in the first place.
This is Lieutenant Yar, sir. Captain Garrett is dead.
So now the twist starts to unfold. What are we going to do? We can't do what we had planned to do. We now have to do something else. So we then need to look around, and it just so happens that an NPC who was part of this story is on hand and can come through with the twist, offering to sacrifice themselves instead of the intended individual. This is usually, by the way, where most D&D adventures finish. This is the point where they go, okay, well, that's solved, it's done, it's over. This is a mistake. We know it's a mistake because we're not yet at the point of conclusion. We're still in the twist. So the twist has to take place, and then, booyakasha, the conclusion starts. All right, everything is ready to go. We're good to go, but we're under attack. Everything is fatal. What? Should we stay? Should we stick? Should we fight back? Or should we continue with the plan? These are the decisions that we have to make.
I request a transfer to the Enterprise C.
For what reason?
They need someone at Tactical.
We need you here.
I'm not supposed to be here, sir.
Sit down, Lieutenant.
Everything seems lost. We get to a point where literally it is about to blow up. And then thankfully we are taken through and everything is fine once again. The timeline is restored. It's a wonderful story. Very simple. Beautifully played out. Plays out in the right time frame. It's got all the things there that we needed to have. Drama, uncertainty, loyalty, friendship. A whole lot of things going on in there that are well worth exploring in their own right. But now how do we translate this Star Trek episode into a Dungeons & Dragons episode? Our players who have an NPC with them. This is the one requirement that we need to have. You need to have an NPC for the players and this party. This isn't a problem. You can have them meet an NPC in the village. You could have them meet the NPC anywhere. So they meet this NPC. The NPC is someone from their past that you brought through because you're a great GM. And they go and they start heading out into the forest going, la-di-da-di-da, we don't know what's going on. The GM hasn't given us the hook yet, so we're still looking for plot. There's no such thing as a plot, of course. We are using our Star Trek episode as a guideline. What happens? A magical rift suddenly opens up in front of the player characters. And out of this rift drops an individual. Oh my goodness. It is Korg, the famed dragon slayer, the one who slew Gorgadax, the magnificent, 1,000 years ago, causing the entire power structure of the nations to change. The elves who'd been working with Gorgadax suddenly realized that their power base was lost, and so instead of invading the dwarvish kingdoms and the human kingdoms, they now form an alliance with us. That alliance has lasted for 1,000 years, and we've had peace and prosperity. But as the dragon slayer Korg is dropped in front of us, magic bolts hit the PCs and the NPCs, protecting them from the sudden change which now happens. Korg is no longer there to slay Gorgadax in the past. Korg is now here in the future. If Korg does not go back, well, does that matter? Yes, it does, because what has happened is all across the world, time has changed. The elves no longer are fearful. Gorgadax was not slain by Korg. Korg disappeared in the middle of the battle. The elves triumph against their invasion of the dwarvish territories, and now the humans are at war with the elves. Everybody knows this, except for the PCs who are going, hang on a moment, why is everybody so against dwarves? Why is everyone so against elves? What's going on? What do you mean you don't know who Korg the Dragon Slayer is? Oh, that's because Korg is with us. Ah, it makes sense now, doesn't it? Korg reveals that he probably should return to save the timeline so that Gorgadax does not triumph. But how? How can we get Korg back to his own time? They're going to have to use a temporal artifact. A temporal artifact some kind of device that can change time, send him back in time. Where is one? Oh, well, that's in Elvish-controlled territories in an old ruined village. The party will have to bravely travel into this ruined village to get it. They do. They encounter elves. The elves try to stop them and fail. However, as they get the artifact, Korg is ready to go through, send everybody back to the right time, kill Gorgodax, and restore the timeline. As he's about to do this, he's assassinated by an elvish assassin, annihilated. Now what do the party do? Because they cannot send the Dragon Slayer back in time. One of the party members recalls the history of Korg, the Dragon Slayer, and recalls that this was the first battle that Korg ever fought in, and it was only after the battle that the statues were made. So no one actually knows what Korg looks like. It could be any one of them. Ah, says the plucky NPC that you brought along earlier on, that the party didn't really know what they were there for. I volunteer to take Korg's place. My position here has never been particularly interesting. I'm just an NPC, so send me back in time. I will be Korg the Dragon Slayer. I can change my name and slay dragons. I know what to do. Very well. We will use the artifact to send the NPC back in time and hopefully allow them to impersonate Korg and save the day. But the ritual to open up the portal is not simple. It will take time, and that time means that the players have to defend our dear little NPC whilst the temporal portal is opened and elves attack, and it's a good opportunity here for you to just throw masses and masses and masses of enemies at the player characters. Just overwhelm them. They can die, they can get annihilated. It's cool fun for them to describe how they die at the hands of the elves. And then, of course, the NPC steps through the portal just in the nick of time, and everything returns back to normal. Life is good. Don't know what happened. But isn't that a cool adventure just to come out of watching an episode of Star Trek? Yesterday's Enterprise was lauded by many. It was an amazing thing. It did a whole bunch of world building, filled in information about a time period that Trekkies knew nothing about, the 2343s. It was just an amazing, amazing opportunity. They brought back an actress who hadn't been in the show since season 1. And as a matter of fact, what we will learn later on is that that same actress, when she went back in time to save the day, became a war prisoner and gave birth to the villain who appears several seasons later in the show. And so that gives you the opportunity of doing it for that one too. Anyway, I hope that you found this informative and that you start to see now why Star Trek, or exploring other genres to the ones that you normally explore, can be incredibly useful to you as a game master. Until next time, I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons for supporting this channel, and encourage you to hit that like button if you liked what we did. I would also encourage you to watch other episodes of Star Trek, and in the comments below, let us know how you would convert them. What would you do? Because I think that could be absolutely awesome. Until next week, happy gaming.